Does it always, or sometimes at least, feel like the only safe place in the world is under the covers? Hidden under your blankie, where it feels like the world can't get to you at all. Not because you're tired, not because you're trying to sleep, but because you want to feel safe. And that's where we are, isn't it? We're not hiding from the world per se, but we want to feel safe. And we hope, we dream of, we wish that we could feel safe enough to really truly move out and make the impact we know we're meant to make. And today we want to go together and look at the blankie that's covering us and how we can stay safe and also make a difference in the world. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third-generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. I've had the wonderful privilege of working with over 5,000 people, helping them write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that. In the over 40 years, or nearly 40 years, that I've been a marketing company, I have come to discover that what my true passion and purpose is to be here to help you architect your freedom, to help you find the clarity that allows you to show up powerfully in the world and make the difference in this world that only you can make. And I really, really, really hope that you will go with me today, that we can take a deep look, hopefully in a safe way, at the ways we've been hiding and the ways that we do hide ourselves from the world, so that we can maybe just creep out from behind the blankies just a little bit and reach out and make the impact that we want to make, that we know we need to make, that we long to make, and we're also very afraid to. Each of us has a shield. Are you ready to go on this journey with me, is what I meant to say right there. Because I get it. Each of us has a shield. We have that protective mechanism that we built into our lives to keep us in a place where we feel safe. And it goes way back to our childhood. And I wanted to really spend this week looking at the shields that we put up, the ways that we protect ourselves, and how those shields did serve us, but are also keeping us from stepping out in the way that we could. You see, I know you're making an impact. I know you're making a massive difference. You are actually impacting and changing the world in massive ways. And yet I also know what it's like, because I'm right there with you. Do you ever find yourself in the bed, what I like to call in the bed, covers over my head? I sleep with a CPAP mask. There might even be a little bit of marks still here on my face. They usually are gone by this time of day. And the advantage of a CPAP mask, with all the disadvantages and all the television commercials you see about them and stuff like that, the advantage is you can pull the covers completely over your head and have no worries of suffocating, because, the air is coming, it's being tubed into you literally, right? And I got to tell you, there are times, and I'm sure you're in this place too, where all you really want to do is just pull up in the bed, throw the covers over your head, and just not, right? And I want to be raw and real here with you today, but I want to make sure that before I go deep into my own stuff, that I've got you here with me. Because I need you to understand that I do see you. Not in a scary, spooky, oh my gosh, Steve's looking at me kind of a way, but in that really safe kind of a way. A, because, I'm in that same place that you are, and B, because I also see all of the really cool things to do in this world. You're not a beginner. You're not a brand new newbie who's wishing that they had something. You're actually an expert and you're getting it done. And you're doing things in this world that make such a difference. And yet, in our quiet times, right? In the times when the door's closed and we're in the room all by ourselves, we're not on social media, we're not talking on the phone to a friend. Maybe our dog's with us, because dogs have a tendency to help us, and be there for us even when we can't share it with anybody else. It's not something we would dare ever do out on our front porch, for example. I was just honored to be in a magazine called Wisdom on the Front Porch, and it makes me think of those kind of things. And we can sit on our own front porch, and if you happen to live like I do, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, where you could talk on your front porch, talk to yourself even, with the random, very very random, pretty much basically when the the mail carrier comes to the house, unless I've ordered a package, the probability is that nobody else is going to drive down my road. I'm the only house on my particular road. We actually live on a corner, so there's this road over here, and there is a little bit of traffic. And I live in a town of 400 people, okay? So there isn't ever going to be a lot of traffic, okay? When I go out and I go for a walk, in that 20, 30 minutes that I walk, maybe if I'm walking at prime time, prime drive times, like when somebody's going to work or somebody's coming from work kind of times, maybe two cars will come by, right? Or if I'm walking at the time when school is getting in or out, maybe two cars. Okay. So we're not talking a lot of traffic anyway, but, then my street, other than the letter carrier, there's really no reason for anybody to ever come down my road. So yeah, I could talk on my front porch and I could talk to myself. But there are those things that even in that isolated of an environment, and I live with my two people here, my mom and my brother. So it's not like I'm really totally by myself here either. But even if I was here by myself, there's that level of things that just that being out there would feel too exposed. But when we're in our room, and maybe you don't literally pull the covers over your head, it gets really cold in my room. I'm cold all the time, it feels like these days. So I do literally sometimes pull the covers over my head when I've got my mask on. But whether you do it literally or not, and whether you're literally in the bed or not, you understand the concept of it. And that is that whole thing of that really secret, quiet place where only you are, you and God. And if you're like me, a lot of times that, that does become a very prayer type of a conversation when you're in those really raw and real and vulnerable moments. I'm not talking about the valuable and vulnerable space that we talk about doing here all the time. I'm talking about those scary vulnerabilities where you feel like a failure, where your energy is gone. I'm not talking depleted or you need a nap or things like that. I'm talking like done, give up, quit. We've talked about, I've been really upfront with you about the fact that I started doing these lives, this particular segment of it, based in a conversation that I had with ChatGPT, totally the worst prompts that you'll ever use in your life. Really just done, ready to quit, and the nature of living with two very retired people like I do, I think in their thought process, and I'm not in any way dissing the support that they have for me or any of those kind of things, but I think in their thought process, they wonder why I don't just, stop. They see how much money or maybe they don't, but they have their impression of how well the company is or isn't doing, and they see the struggles that I'm having right now, and I don't know that either of them, because both of them have very employee mindset, and have been that their whole life. They've never really been entrepreneurs. I don't think they really understand the concepts that you and I live by. Um, but there are times when it's really hard, right? And we lay up in the bed, literally or physically, or metaphorically, and and we're hurt and we're broken. And I've been through a lot of that, and I wanted to make sure that I scooped you up gently with me so that you know that I see you and you don't feel exposed. I may or may not, even though I did put a call to action in this one, I I know it's not the best practice, but I want to be here for you today. And so I may not even ask you to drop anything in. If you really want to reach out to me, direct message me. I know I'm talking about something that's very, very intensely personal. And I would understand if even direct messaging me, hey, can we talk? Or, some word like clarity might be further than you would want to do on this particular. And to ask you to post is probably unrealistic, really, because I want to take this time, however long we spend. I want to really go deep with you here today. I want to be in that space with you. And the only way that I know how to do it is to just be really real with you and share with you some of the things that I've experienced over the last few years to hopefully help you see that you're not alone. Up to and including the fact that I keep looking at my face and it feels really chubby today. And I hope that I'm not gaining weight, because y'all know that I've been working really hard on losing the weight, and I don't want to go back to that place. And that's another one of the vulnerabilities of going live is, you look at your own face and you try to look over here, the screen's right there and the camera's right there. And it's like, okay, because there's a lot of doubt. And like you said, I'm just going to be real with you. I'm just reaching out to you in my raw realness to share with you things that I'm never going to ask you to share yourself, but that I need you to know you're not alone. And I know that you have that really cool shield, and you stole it from Captain America because you use it better anyway. And it keeps you safe from the world. And so although you're out there, you've got that shield there too, and you're hiding yourself. And let's be real, it's really our whoopee. Now, some of you have seen Mr. Mom and you understand what I mean when I say you're whoopee. And others of you think I'm crazy now, and that's fine too. That security blanket. That even when we get out of the bed, we tote it around with us. When we were little, it was easier. Because we had that magical security blanket that always made us safe. The monster under the bed couldn't get to us if we were clutching or hiding underneath of our security blanket. The monster in the closet, he was he had no magical power that could get through our magical blanket. And that's where we started in life. And when nobody else was around in the middle of the night, when we were maybe even too scared to call out to our parents, we had that blankie. And although when I talk about laying in the bed with the covers over your head, which is a literal thing for me, but is probably more figurative in most of your lives, that's the feeling that we're really looking for. That real security as a child. The only other really safe place that feels that safe is when we're really little in our mother's arms. And at some point, the safety of that kind of waned a little bit. And the blankie was there for as long as it was there. And it was always there. And we could tote it around. And even when mommy was driving the car, we could hold onto our blankie and we could still feel, okay that life was going to be all right. But what happens when you wake up one morning? You're 53 years old. This is my own personal story, yes. The woman who you intended to spend the rest of all of eternity, not even just your life, but the rest of all of eternity with, and you thought that's what you had built with her, announces to you that she's moving on and has every intention of looking for what you believed you had. It's something I can't really put into words. I'm searching even now as I'm talking to you for the right word of the level of shattered, crushed emptiness that it is. Especially when it, in my particular case, felt as though it came out of the blue. I mean, relationships have the things that they have, and maybe I was just naive to them, but I had no idea, and it left me a special kind of shattered. And we've talked about this before. There's that Japanese concept, and I'm gonna pronounce it wrong, but Kinjita or whatever it is, that has to do with shattered pottery mended with gold. And I've talked about the fact that some of us know what that shattering is to the point where we're dust. The best you could possibly do would be to take a broom, sweep up the minor dusty remains of ourselves, pour us into the gold and make something out of it that would resemble nothing at all. I mean, I suppose you could put it in the shape of the vessel that we were previous to that, but it's still not going to in any way really resemble who we were. And we go through things like that, and we wish that we had our blankie. And I'm not going to lie to you, there's been times that I've literally laid up in the bed where the only thing I could do was cry. In fact, I've even gotten to the point where it goes beyond sobbing to the place where you have no more tears. You're not even interested in crying anymore. And moving feels, and I'm talking about just physically getting up out of the bed, that kind of moving feels impossible. It was really cool there for a while as far as weight loss goes because food had no interest and I really couldn't eat much. And it really did. It helped me lose about 30 or 40 pounds really quickly. And then I plateaued at about 400, and I'm so grateful for the 120 pounds that I've lost. And I want to lose another somewhere between 60 and 100 more because I want to be well now. But I got to tell you, back then I didn't. I didn't even want to be alive. So I was 53 years old, had just moved into, so I got that announcement. 6 months went by, living in separate bedrooms in this great big beautiful house that God really had worked miracles, but I had done some pretty interesting maneuvering to move us into this beautiful, on the top of the hill, gorgeous mansion house in Southern California, palm trees lining our front yard. And we were in separate sides of the house, and it was the worst feeling I can even begin to describe to you. And then I moved to my little apartment all by myself. And some of you know, and I've probably even said this on a live, I was 53 years old. It was the first time ever in my life, and it was just before my 54th birthday, I think. or maybe I was 52 and it was just before my 53rd birthday. I'd have to honestly stop and think for a second now. It was 5 years ago. Well, yeah, it'll be 6 years now, actually, in October of this year. And and I was there laying in the bed, my dog, kind of looking at me like I'm insane. No more tears left to cry, no interest in doing anything, with the real stark revelation of the fact that I had never lived alone. You see, this isn't tired, and this isn't scared of the world. This is broken at a level that I know some of you have experienced too. And that concept of in the bed, covers over my head, mask on, was a coping mechanism that reverts back to that childhood. And I was thinking about those times, and I was thinking about the process that this last 6 years now, because like I said, I moved out in October, but it was, April of 2019 that the announcement came. So it's been more than 6 years now. And I look at the process, and I look at how a year ago I finally came to the point where I didn't need the weight to protect me. And I did throughout that whole relationship. I mean, if you look at me and you see me at 460 pounds at Maya's wedding, you know that the relationship was broken in a way that I felt, and in that alone in a crowd of people feeling, but also assuming that that was always going to be the way that it was. And we do that in life. We do that in our businesses. Things are going horribly awry, and we just assume that we just need to push through it. And I'm here today to encourage you that, number one, that shield, that blankie, that's okay. When you don't need it anymore, you won't need it anymore. And if you always need it, that would be okay too. But it's also okay, even if you have to, and I'm talking very metaphorically here. I hope you understand. I mean, if you need to bring a blankie out on stage, bring one out on stage with you, literally. But metaphorically, if you need to still have that feeling inside of you as you show up in the world, live, on stage, directly one-on-one or over a Zoom call with a client, do it. Get yourself a little piece of fabric and rub it between your fingers while you're talking. The nature of it, I'm rubbing my fingers right now, and the nature of this, if I bring it up here, you can see me. But if I keep my hand down here, you can't tell. And you could do that. No, I don't have a blanket in my hand. Sorry. Should have gotten a piece of fabric and done that. We're going to look at our blankie, our shields, our protective mechanisms, and how we can honor what they do in our lives and the places we no longer need them. We're going to look at that all week this week. But I needed to come to you today and acknowledge I've got them and you've got them too. And that's okay. And not to come and rip the blankie out of your hands and going, you don't need this anymore. Kind of like an older sibling would do. I'm okay if you need to tootle around for the next several years with the blankie still there. Blankie in your hand, sucking your thumb. Because some of the boldest moves we've ever made in our life, we did it in that position. We grabbed a hold of the blankie, and then we were fearless. And some of us just need to really honor our blankie currently, whatever it might be. Maybe it's something real and physical. And maybe it's more metaphysical, more experiential. And maybe even our going live can be part of our blankie. And yes, there are going to be times when you're still going to feel completely weak and exhausted, and you're going to lay down, and all you're going to want to do is sleep. And hopefully, not be in a place where all you want to do is die. I've been there. I know what it's like. Not really suicidal, just empty to the point where each next breath is shocking because you don't know where the energy comes from to do it. And you wonder to yourself, how could that be? How is it possible that I continue moving forward? And I want you to know it's because you have a purpose. You have a reason for still being here. A lot of people didn't make it to today. And when we talk tomorrow and you're there tomorrow, a lot of people didn't make it there either. And if you happen to be listening to this on a replay 5 years from when I actually originally first said it, this is exactly where you are and who you are right now. And a lot of people didn't make it here, but you're here. You have a purpose. And we're excited. I am personally thrilled to be part of that journey. So let's grab our blankies. Let's pick them up. Let's boldly, to quote Star Trek, boldly go where no one's gone before, right? To take the leap of faith. Like you do with your blankie, you tie it around your neck and you jump off the roof because, Superman can fly and you've got a cape too. But to quote Super Grover, even if your mommy makes you a superhero costume, you cannot fly because there's only one Super Grover. Yes, my oldest Emily was absolutely massively into Super Grover. But you can fly. And the virtual blankie tied around your neck when you jump is going to help you take flight because you are Super Grover. For the person that you're meant to serve, you're their Super Grover. You're their underdog. You're their, and we could go to all the girl superheroes too. She-Hulk, Wonder Woman, whatever you want to pick. Wanda, Scarlet Witch, you name it. And you can even be the Invisible Woman from the Fantastic Four and see just how powerful you are. Because the Invisible Woman, though she was invisible in a crowd, was also very powerful because she was in the crowd. If she would have been invisible in her room, she wouldn't have saved any lives. So be invisible. Hide behind your special security power that makes you feel invisible while you're actually out in the middle catching people and saving people and changing lives. I know that was just a whole barrage of metaphors that I gave you today, because I just want to set the stage for this week for us. Let's grab our blankies, pick up our shields, put on our force field, but let's show up in the world this week. If you want to boldly step out and you want to drop the word shield, or even better yet, blankie, in the comments, hey, that's awesome. I honor you for that. And if you need help and you feel safe enough with me to do it, drop the word blankie in a direct message to me. Let's talk. I'm here to help you. I got you. We're going to get through this together. We're going to look at all of it this week because you are bold, you are powerful, you are making a difference in the world. And we do have our blankies, and we do lay up in the bed and feel deep, deep feelings. And all of that's okay. It really is. And now, what we're going to do is we're going to commit to being the best us during each day that goes by the name today, and make the difference in this world that only you can make. I'm so honored to be part of it with you. I'm so excited for what we're going to go through this week as we look at our blankies and our shields and our force fields and all the things that we do to keep ourselves safe, and how we can stay safe and also change the world. You ready to go on that journey with me this week? I hope you are. So grateful to be here with you. And until we're together again next time, tomorrow, I hope you have a great week.